So you found yourself on the road. How am I gonna get my wargaming fix? Mr. Wargaming has the solution for you. I showed you one of these a few years back. I've made a few upgrades, a few changes. Want to show you how I wargame on the road. This is a standard, what do we got here? Modular stacking box. It is 1.5 gallons or 6 quarts, if you will, in size, and it has everything you need to get your fix, except for the books and the dice. Okay, I cheated a little bit. I got a dice bag. Dice are easy. You can carry them in your pocket. Even the planes will let you carry them. Of course, you need a ruler. I went out and I cheated a little bit. I'm in a new town where they have a little thing called Joann Fabrics. I got a couple of fabric quarters and a couple of different styles. I wasn't sure which would look better on camera. These cost me like $3 a piece, and they are a quarter. They call them a quarter cut, fabric quarter, which means they are 18 inches by 21 inches across. I have two options depending on which one I think looks best. Of course, you need a little bit of packing material. And then the big thing is going to be, well, let me get this packing material out of here. And I'm going to show you, this is kind of a weird unboxing. Get that stuff out of here because this is all stuff I already had and you've already seen, but look how well that fits into this little box. You've all seen in previous videos my everything I need for wargaming counter box. I actually have a little miniature one. Let me slide this box out of the way. And I can show you what all I packed away for a rainy, oh my gosh, the company needs me to travel day. I made the decision this time around, I'm going to be doing sci-fi wargaming. You've probably already seen my video on the historical relic known as Laser Burn. Rest in peace, Brian Ansell. So what do we got? We got our dice, our spin down D20s, because I'm going to be focusing on two games, I think. Laser Burn, and of course, I have not been doing a whole lot of Wily games lately, and Wily games are great. If I wanted to, I could pack in multiple genres. I could throw some fantasy in here and use the same rules because they work so well. I do have my counters 1 through 6 for hidden things, one little bit of like scatter terrain, I guess you could say, and just to show you, I've got my sci-fi papal blessing. There's one of our bishops, one of our trad lads, and his bodyguards are in there. I do have the Black Raven. We're going to see those guys coming up. Full set of D&D dice in purple. And then I've got some aliens. I grabbed just a handful, just a random selection of these Rebel miniatures figures in gray. And then, of course, from Coruscant, I've got our heavy armor guys. So we have unarmored, our kind of rogue traitorish guys. We've got aliens. We got all kinds of good stuff. We've got regular army guys, Death Corps of Krieg types, if you will, and our power armor. So a lot of variations there. We can explore all of the fun that Laser Burn has to offer, and it all fits in the neat little box. Moving on, well, then the question becomes, what about terrain? You can fit so much terrain in this bad boy. And there's not only that, I even threw a couple of vehicles just in case. Those may be more for terrain. I don't think either of my skirmish rules will benefit from that. But hey, a little bit of Alienware, a little bit of Alien, and then of course some scatter terrain inside the building. I'm not going to dwell too much on this. These are an odd sort of electrical supply. If you go check the electrical department at your local hardware store, the underside that you can't see here, you feed, it's kind of like a pigtail, but it's a little more advanced than that. You actually feed your wires in here, and then it makes the connection in this, but it's the perfect size and shape. In fact, let me prove it to you. I, of course, game in 15 millimeters, so I will grab one of my sci-fi well-armed bishops, and so there you go, 15 millimeters. It's a great size for vending machine. I got a couple of those. And then, of course, this is one of the resin figures. It's like a, I don't know, what would you call it, a manufactorium or, whatever. It's a nice piece of cover is what it is. It looks like a mini fac, and that is available from Alternative Armies. I should point out this tank. Oh, my tank broke. The one thing I forgot, I'll have to go out and buy some new glue. Where's the tread? One of my treads fell off. Well, it's around here somewhere. So I will have to buy some fresh super glue, but we can handle that. We're still in the, well, I mean, what passes for civilization these days, if you will. Don't worry about where I am right now. The important thing is I do have just the one story. That's pretty good for what we've got. And then if we keep pulling things out, I even managed to squeeze in the deck of cards, a little bit more alien terrain. And here we have, oh, look at that. I have a second box. Now, these are 10mm figures for fantasy. And the rest of the terrain, there we go. Most of the rest of the terrain. So we'll fix that tread later. And then, of course, we have our 15mm. I have a fountain here, which is a bit fantastical, but we'll allow it. We believe in goth horror, right? Or goths. What do you call it? Grimdark sci-fi. Nice little power plant there. We'll set the 10mm figures aside for now. Let me finish pulling out all the 15mm. We did bring the big power suit, the big walker. This is again a wonderful little miniature from Alternative Armies. You can see that I've painted it for 15. The little glossy silver is where your guy sits in the cockpit. But if you have 10mm figures, as one does, so here's a skeleton, it would work fine for 10mm. In 6mm, it becomes a full-blown Titan, and you can just paint that, where I painted a cockpit, you can just paint that the same color as everything else. It looks like just more panels. And, of course, in 25mm, it becomes just kind of a Sentinel robot. So very flexible, wonderful little figure. And I did bring some of my ruins, which I have not used lately, and I brought a tent. Now, when you're talking about terrain at this small of a scale, a hill, simple hill, step hill, as one does, and here's the original drop mat that I had. Something like this works in any scale, as does our hedges. Whether they're head high or not doesn't really make much of a difference. Again, I'll have to do some repairs here, because what you're looking at here, oh, I lost a whole lot of trees. Or maybe I don't. Maybe I just snap that one down too and I just live with it. This is the canopy for our forest, right? And if I want to, I can reinstall those trunks, and then the forest canopy kind of sits right on top. If you don't want to use it as a canopy, you can just set it right on your drop cloth, and it just becomes a bit of broken ground or bracken that blocks line of sight, blocks movement. And then I have, oh man, I didn't realize I had so many D6s in here. I haven't opened this in a long time. A little bit of stream action, a little bit of swamp. So there you go. And look at that. I even have the downed walker, which could be used for terrain or for an objective or whatever you need. So here's where we shift our attention to the fact that I have this weird little hut. And this is originally designed to be with the giant mushrooms. It was originally designed to be a wizard's tower. But lo and behold, it works great for 15mm. As does this little hut right here. Originally scaled for 15, but as we know from previous experience, you can always step down in scale. In fact, it works really well to step down in scale for buildings. To not have your buildings in the same size as your figures is a gift. It looks fine when you're on the tabletop, and it buys you a little more real estate for moving your guys around. In this case, this is literally a child's wooden block that I just shaved off to make a peaked roof, and I glued a towel. This is just regular terry cloth towels, like a bathroom towel, to the top, and I coated the whole thing in white PVA glue. And then here's a couple of wooden dowels cut for wood on the side, and that gives us a little bit more cover in a little extra direction. Prime it, paint it, good to go. I do have, what else do I have in here? I have a bridge with, oh, look at that, I even have a little bridge and a ford there. So I only have the one piece of stream, which means it's going to go on the corner, and it's not going to make too much of a difference, but it does kind of force you to choose between north and south, if you will. And I have a 15mm, just some random odds and ends. Once I ran out of space with my normal box, I just started grabbing stuff. I even have the rules for Super Tiny Skirmish. We haven't played that in a long time. That's from the same guy that did, this was kind of the proto, not Space Weirdos. What's the 28mm game? I don't know, I can't remember. It's called like Space 28 or something like that. Look at these tiny little guys. I'm going to turn this skeleton so you can see that he's an archer a little bit better. And then, of course, this skeleton has a shield with a little eye painted on it, a little eye of Horus. They are perfectly scaled to the building. And also, I thought this was a 15mm bed set. And it really probably is, but it works so well in this scale, I thought, let's throw it in the box. These figures come from a wide range of manufacturers. The heroes in the back here, this is, I want to say that's a Legolas figure. Pay special attention to the bases. No, this is the Legolas. And he comes from, who is it? The Perry, is it the Perry brothers? Boy, I probably should have looked this up. They have a wonderful 10mm range. That's also where this particular Orcish Spearman comes from. This one comes from Irregular Miniatures, as does the Orcish Boar Rider. And then from Pendraken, they have a wide range of 10mm fantasy figures. That's where the skeletons and the elves come from. Now, pay close attention to their bases. One of the things that I highly recommend you do if you decide to skirmish wargame in 10mm scale, it's an amazingly cheap way to go and portable. You can fit, as I said, so many miniatures in this box. I am only showing you a brief selection from my collection. The rest of it is right here. Paint your colors a little bit brighter. Paint your bases to reflect their teams. The orcs are kind of brownish. The undead are black with a little dry brushing white. And my heroes are straight up white on white. And then I do have just a couple of miscellaneous, because I figure, we can afford to throw in a couple of big boys. I've got an ogre. This is this comes from Pendraken, their 10mm line of ogres. They've got some with clubs and some with giant rocks they're about to chuck. This is a lovely Minotaur figure. I use these two guys in 15mm scale. I carved them out. I had like 5 or 6 of each. So I said, hey, I'm going to throw 1 or 2 of those into my 10mm, and I'm going to throw the rest in my 15mm. And I can go to town and use either of them in any way I want. And of course, we've got a lovely little drop cloth. So if you find yourself on the road with plenty of time because the wife and kids are stuck back home lamenting your temporary reassignment, grab yourself a shoebox. And in fact, if you want a little mini project, something that's easy to work on, go to Pendraken. Go to, of course, the 800-pound gorilla. Games Workshop has their, what was their game called? War Master range. Go grab 3 blister packs of any 2 factions, and you've got more than enough figures to put together a decent collection. I found my ogre with the club. Look how good he looks. I tried to paint little blue tattoos on these guys, but I don't know how well it shows up. Yeah, oh, that's a little better than I thought. Look at all the character on that howler's face, right? And this guy, look how smug he looks, huh? Look, he is so pleased with himself, man. You would think, well, he's, I don't know. He must squash them real good. My orcs come from Copplestone Castings. Thank you. They have a phenomenal little, it's not really the Lord of the Rings range, although it comes with a suite of 9 heroes, including a wizard, which I don't know if I even have him anymore. Let's see if I can find him here real quick. Nope. We do have a wonderful little barbarian, though. I think this is probably a Boromir proxy. Big dang axe hero. So look at all the character that you can get in a 10mm figure. Look at that guy. Painting mustaches in 10mm, you must be crazy. But here's the real fun part. Even mummies, here's the real fun part. If you grab 3 blisters and they come with 16 figures in it, what you do is, and this is what I've done, and I've even managed to play a couple of games like that, I painted up 4 sets of these, made 4 little houses, 4 little streams, 4 little everything, and then I mailed 3 of them to my friends so we could play online, and I did that like 4 or 5 years ago. Now, to be fair, I've been too busy and lazy, and I've only managed to play 1 or 2 games like this, but if you've got someone you want to game with overseas or long distance, this is a great way to do that. If you want to put together a package, a little game, a little present for a friend of yours, this is a great way to do it for not a whole lot of money. I think shipping overseas was more expensive than the entirety of the rest of the project combined. And even if you don't, as a solo wargamer, as a first-time wargamer, as a guy that just wants to dip his toes into the water, I highly recommend this style of wargaming. Coming up here soon, in the not-too-distant future, I'll even show you how to play a game with these, but for now, we're just going to go with a short little introduction and a short little demonstration of the theme of concept, and later on, we'll take a look at a battle using laser burn and the science fiction figures that I showed you. And for those of you that are curious, let's take a look at a comparison in size. So there's how big the 15 millimeter figures are. They just tower over these 10 millimeter, but not the ogres. So the ogres here stand, if we go about the same height, they're about, yeah, those are a little smaller, but they're chunkier and they still look pretty impressive. So we could throw those guys at our 15 millimeter sci-fi, but it probably wouldn't go well. Anyway, that's all I got for you today. Hope you enjoyed this brief episode. Until next time, I'm praying the rosary for you.